Most people imagine a wolf alone on a hilltop, howling at the moon. That image is everywhere. It is on posters, tattoos, and wilderness calendars. But the lone wolf is almost always a dying wolf, because the gray wolf is not a solitary creature. It is a family animal, and the real story of its life is far stranger, far more tender, and far more brutal than any poster will ever show. To understand what a gray wolf truly is, you have to go back to the beginning. You have to go back to a den dug into a hillside, somewhere in the middle of a forest that still holds winter in its shadows, even as spring arrives above ground. The story begins in late March or early April. Inside a narrow earthen tunnel, in a chamber about the size of a small closet, a female wolf gives birth. She is called the alpha female, the breeding female, the mother of the pack. She has been pregnant for 63 days. That is roughly 2 months of carrying pups, while still hunting through deep snow, crossing frozen rivers, and running down prey that can weigh 10 times her own body weight. She gives birth in the dark. No light reaches the den. The pups arrive blind, deaf, and weighing less than a single pound each. A typical litter contains 4 to 6 pups, though litters of 8 or even 9 have been documented. Each one is covered in short, dark fur. Each one is completely helpless. They cannot regulate their own body temperature. Without their mother pressed against them, they will die within minutes. Can they survive? That question will define the next 2 years of their lives. For the first 3 weeks, the pups do nothing but nurse, sleep, and grow. Their mother rarely leaves the den. She nurses them every few hours. She keeps the den clean. She keeps them warm. Outside, the rest of the pack hunts for her. The alpha male, the father of the pups, brings food to the entrance of the den and regurgitates partially digested meat. It is not a beautiful image, but it is a deeply effective one. The pack feeds the mother, so the mother can feed the pups. This system of cooperative care is one of the gray wolf's most remarkable evolutionary traits. Researchers at the Yellowstone Wolf Project, which has been tracking individual wolves and packs continuously since 1995, have documented how adult wolves who are not the parents of a litter will still sacrifice hunting time, rest, and food to help raise pups that carry none of their own genes. This behavior, called alloparenting, meaning care provided by non-parents, is rare in the animal kingdom and points to something surprising. Wolves have something resembling a social obligation to their family group. Around 3 weeks old, the pups open their eyes for the first time. They are blue at birth, just as human infants often are, and they will shift toward amber or yellow over the following months. Within days of opening their eyes, they begin exploring the entrance of the den. They tumble into the sunlight for the first time, squinting and stumbling on legs that have never supported their own weight. This is when the education begins. Older wolves in the pack approach the pups with extraordinary patience. They allow the pups to chew on their ears, climb on their backs, and steal scraps of food from their mouths. This is not simply tolerance. Behavioral ecologist Mark Bekoff, who has studied animal play extensively at the University of Colorado, documented how wolf play behavior beginning in the pup stage directly shapes future social hierarchy, conflict resolution, and cooperative hunting strategies. What looks like puppies roughhousing is actually a training system. The pups are learning who is who, what is allowed, and how far they can push before they are corrected. Correction comes fast and clearly. An adult wolf who has been pushed too far will pin a pup gently but firmly to the ground, hold it there briefly, and then release it. The pup does not fight back. It goes limp. It rolls onto its back and exposes its belly. This behavior, called active submission, is the wolf's version of an apology. It communicates surrender, it diffuses tension, and it is something wolves will use for the rest of their lives every time they need to acknowledge that another wolf outranks them. By the time the pups are 8 weeks old, the pack moves them from the birth den to what researchers call a rendezvous site. This is a clearing, usually near water, where the pack returns repeatedly to rest and regroup between hunts. The pups are no longer fragile enough to require the isolation of the den, but they are still far too young to travel with the pack on full hunts. So they wait at the rendezvous site while adults hunt, sometimes for 12 hours at a time, sometimes farther than 20 miles away. Waiting is dangerous. The forest is full of threats. Golden eagles prey on wolf pups. Black bears and grizzly bears, if they encounter a rendezvous site without adults nearby, will kill every pup they find. Rival wolf packs, whose territories sometimes overlap the edges of another pack's range, will actively seek out and kill pups that do not belong to their own family. In Yellowstone, researchers from the Wolf Project have documented multiple cases where rival packs raided rendezvous sites and killed litters outright. A brutal but ecologically rational act that eliminates future competition before it can grow. Mortality among pups in their first year ranges from 40% to 60%, depending on prey availability, territory stability, and the severity of the winter ahead. By autumn, the pups that have survived are no longer pups in any meaningful physical sense. They are juveniles, sometimes called yearlings, approaching their adult size though still mentally and socially immature. They have watched the adults hunt dozens of times from the edges of the action. They have attempted to chase deer and elk themselves and almost always failed. They are fast, but they lack the coordination, the strategy, and the stamina that only comes with experience. Will they learn in time? The winter ahead will demand it. Gray wolves in North America hunt prey that is often many times their own weight. Elk can weigh 800 pounds. Moose can weigh 1,500 pounds. A single wolf attacking either animal directly is likely to be kicked, gored, or thrown and killed. Wolf hunting is therefore never about individual bravery. It is about reading the herd, identifying weakness, and coordinating with pack mates without a single sound. Dr. David Meck, one of the world's leading wolf biologists and a senior research scientist with the United States Geological Survey, has spent more than 6 decades studying wolf predation. He has consistently documented that wolves do not simply chase prey until it collapses from exhaustion, the way that popular media often depicts. Instead, wolves test prey. They approach a herd deliberately, observe how individuals react, and target those that hesitate, limp, lag behind, or run with an irregular gait. In most encounters, the wolves give up, not because they are outrun, but because the prey has passed the test. Healthy animals are simply not worth the injury risk. When a hunt is launched in full, the pack works as a single coordinated unit. Some wolves cut in front of the prey, some attack from the flanks, some target the hindquarters, attempting to slow the animal down by lacerating the muscles in its rear legs. The kill itself, when it finally comes, is violent and exhausting. Wolves are injured in hunts regularly. Ribs get broken, legs get kicked, eyes get damaged. Every successful kill carries a cost. The yearling wolves learn by watching, by failing, and by slowly being given more responsibility as the seasons pass. By their second winter, the survivors have become functional hunters. They can read a herd's behavior. They know their position in the pack's coordinated attacks. They are no longer passengers. They are contributors. This is also the age when the social pressures inside the pack begin to mount. A wolf pack is not a democracy. It is a family with a clear hierarchy. The alpha pair, the mother and father, leads all major decisions: when to hunt, when to rest, where to move, when to howl. Beneath them, each adult wolf has a position in the hierarchy, and that position is reinforced constantly through body language, feeding order, and subtle daily interactions. Most wolves accept their position without open conflict, but not all of them. Some wolves reach 2 years of age and become, as researchers now call it, dispersers. They are wolves who have grown large, strong, and reproductively mature, and who cannot breed within their birth pack because the alpha pair suppresses reproduction in all subordinates. Their biology pushes them outward. They leave the pack, alone or with a sibling, and they enter the most dangerous period of any wolf's life. A dispersing wolf is a wolf without territory, without backup, and without the cooperative hunting structure it has known since birth. It must survive on its own. It must avoid rival packs, which will kill it on sight if it strays into their territory. It must cross roads, farms, and human settlements. Studies tracking dispersing wolves have documented individuals traveling hundreds of miles in search of unclaimed land and an unrelated mate. Some dispersers travel so far that they establish populations in areas where wolves had not been seen for decades. In 2019, a gray wolf identified as OR54 by researchers with the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife completed a round trip of more than 4,000 miles, one of the longest documented wolf journeys in recorded history. She crossed highways, mountains, and farmland. She was hit by a vehicle, recovered, and kept moving. She never found a mate, but she proved something important. A single wolf, driven by instinct and biology, can reshape the map of where a species lives. The dispersers that survive find territory. They find a mate. And when they do, everything that was done for them at the beginning of their lives becomes something they must now do for others. The male digs or finds a den. The female gives birth. The adults of the new pack, perhaps just 2 wolves at first, begin the work of raising the next generation. The howling in the dark, the meat brought to the den entrance, the patient correction of tumbling pups at the den entrance. It all begins again. But the story of a gray wolf does not end there. It ends with age. Wolves in the wild rarely live beyond 8 years. Their teeth wear down. Old injuries accumulate. Arthritis sets into joints that have been pushed through thousands of miles of hunting terrain. An old wolf slows. It falls behind on hunts. It can no longer reliably bring down large prey. In a harsh winter, this can mean starvation. But old wolves matter in ways that science is only beginning to understand. A study published in 2021 in the journal Ecological Letters by researchers, including wildlife biologist Kira Cassidy, documented how the presence of old, experienced wolves in a pack dramatically improved a pack's hunting success and pup survival rates, even after those wolves were no longer physically dominant. Their knowledge, accumulated over years of successful hunts and territorial negotiations, shaped pack decisions in ways that younger wolves had not yet learned to replicate. When an old wolf dies, the pack does not scatter immediately. Pack members have been observed returning repeatedly to the location where a packmate died, sometimes for days afterward. Whether this constitutes grief in a meaningful sense remains scientifically contested, but the behavior is documented, consistent, and difficult to explain away as anything other than an acknowledgement of loss. The gray wolf was hunted to near extinction across most of North America and Europe during the 19th and 20th centuries. Humans feared it, misunderstood it, and systematically eliminated it from landscapes it had shaped for thousands of years. The ecological consequences were severe. Without wolves, elk populations exploded in Yellowstone. Elk grazed riverbanks bare. Willows and aspens disappeared. Songbirds that nested in those trees vanished. Beavers that needed those trees for dams went with them. Rivers eroded and changed course, all because one species was gone. When wolves were reintroduced to Yellowstone in 1995, those processes began to reverse. Not because wolves are magic, but because they are part of a system that evolved with them in it. Most people imagine a wolf alone on a hilltop, howling at the moon. But now you know what that howl actually means. It is a family calling out across a landscape it has shaped, lost, and begun to reclaim. It is a mother calling her pups back to the den. It is a pack marking the edges of everything it has survived to protect. It is not loneliness. It never was.